We're going to talk about the funnest circle of the whole late stage college funding cycle, and that's called appealing your financial aid. Or what everybody wants to know about is funding. Or some of us call it money. And to explain how this actually works, I'm going to tell you a fun story, at least a fun story for me. I walked into a client's house, this was probably about almost 4 years ago now, and I walked in and the daughter wanted to be a medical doctor and she wanted to go to Baylor. And as I walked into the house, she was there, she greeted me, she walked in, and she was jumping out, literally so excited. The day before she got her first financial aid paperwork from Baylor, of all places. That's where she wanted to go. And her dad was waiting for us, and we started chatting, and she says, I got accepted into Baylor, and they're giving me $12,000. $12,000. And my response to her was, is that a good offer? And she stopped and she looked at me and she did one of these numbers. They're giving me $12,000. And I said, well, is that a good offer? And she goes, they're giving me $12,000. And about this time, her dad goes, who happens to be an engineer, says to me, he says, Marty, I don't know. I don't have anything to compare it to. I said, okay, let's compare it. So I get my computer, open up my software, and this is what we found out. That roughly it costs $60,000 to go to Baylor. That's what they call cost of attendance. Now, when they have cost of attendance, that's tuition, that's books, tuition, books, room, and board, right? That's the total cost of going to that college for 1 year, cost of attendance, $60,000. Now, this might not be the exact amount. I'm even it out, but it's close to $60,000. They offered her $12,000. That only left, if my corrections are correct, $48,000. Now, her dad had a good job, was making decent money, but he didn't have $48,000 a year, even with savings, to send her to Baylor. And this kind of toned it down a little bit, and I asked him, I said, well, I asked her again, she goes, is that a good offer? And she goes, I don't know. I said, well, let's find out. Someone with, remember we talked about your scores? And how that affected how much money, if you're going to be admitted and all those things. Let's see where your scores, your GPA, what should be appropriate. Found out that roughly her peers with her scores and her GPA were bringing in somewhere between $25,000 and $30,000 in aid. So then again, I asked her, so is this $12,000 a good offer? And she said, no, it's not. So what we did is we started a negotiation process. Again, I call it a negotiation because this is list priced, right? To them, $48,000, $60,000, that's list price. Who buys a car at list price? Who doesn't negotiate? Who doesn't see what's the best price they can get? And there's some techniques, and I'm not going to go into all of them because that's really about a 15, 20-minute conversation. And it depends on your student. The negotiations and the different things that you work with the schools with depends on your student, what school you're applying to, what's your test scores, what's your GPA, all of your financial situations. If you have need-based or merit-based scholarships available to you, there's a lot of things that go into that. But what happens is that once you start finding out where you're at, you can start negotiating. So I'm going to just tell you the end of the story is that we got her just under $25,000. So that means that that's $13K more a year. That is only $52,000 more over 4 years, which she didn't have to take out in loans. What this is this is the accumulation, and if you're not doing all these things and making yourself the type of student that they want to come in, they aren't going to give you money. They aren't going to give you more financial aid. But if you do, $52,000 over 4 years, that's $52,000 in loans you don't have to take out. In fact, in 2016, this is pretty important, $37,000 in loans was the average debt. That was the senior that was graduating in 2016. Do you think it's gotten higher or lower since then? So, then one last thing that I want to talk about this, that's important to understand, is that you got cost of attendance, right? Cost of attendance. That's this number that they come up with and say it's 60,000 and all the costs. What I call it is, what you need to look at is the actual cost of attendance. Actual cost of attendance is what you got to be worried about. You're going to apply, if you do it right, to 5 or 6 schools so you can start getting some bidding process going, some negotiations. But when you get done, you look at what the actual cost and how much money they're going to give you. So the actual cost of attendance for her going to Baylor is $35,000 instead of the $60,000, right? That's the actual cost of attendance. If she applied to UT and she got accepted into UT, and the cost for in-state tuition, because she's from Texas, is only $30,000, and she gets no help at all. What is better, the $30,000 or the $35,000? You've got to apply to different colleges. You've got to do this process with each college. Do you actually get their best price? When you get their best price, it takes all of the guessing out. You then can actually pick the right college for you that has the major, that has the college experience that you want for the best price. And if $5,000 more a year or $20,000 over 4 years for Baylor is better for you than UT, then you would pick Baylor. But it gives you guys the opportunity to make the choice. This step right here, 82% of the time, that's right, 82% of the time that someone receives a financial aid offer is accepted, and the colleges know this. And so don't you think that they give you a teaser offer the first time? Yeah, they do. They might be willing to offer you $10 or $15 or $7 or $19,000 more, depending on who you are. What is your test scores? What type of college students do they need? This is all about 3 things. Each college has a I like you list, I love you list, and I need bodies list. If they have a love you list and you're on that list, they will give you lots of money in forms of scholarships, grants, tuition waivers, whatever, to get you to go to their school. If you're on their like you list, they'll give you money. Not as much as I love you list, but they'll give you some money. If you're on their I need you list, so that means like if the average ACT score is 28 and you've got a 26, they'll say, yeah, you can come in, but you're going to pay full bolt. You want to get on the I love you list and then negotiate or appeal your financial aid office. Anyway, this right now is some of the most important information that you need to know. And each of you parents and students are probably, in some of these are multiple sections, right? Some of you are seniors at the end of your junior year, you're going to be at the end of your junior year, and you need to understand how to do your financial aid negotiations to get the most money for you can. The PSAT, SAT, if you guys aren't studying right now for that, you're going to be hurt very bad. I hope you enjoyed this presentation that we've come to you from Complete College Strategy Studios, and we're able to talk about the late stage college funding cycle. You probably will find yourself or your students in multiple of these circles, if not all of them. Please give us a call or email us so we can see how we can help you.